What's up, YouTube? It's your boy the D here, aka the captain of the Thunder God Pirates, and like to welcome you guys back to our weekly, or sometimes weekly, chapter reviews. I know you're probably wondering, hey, what happened to 1016? Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I recorded that. I might still post it, just like, hey, late ass video, what I thought 1016, but I'm sorry, I really just didn't give a damn about 1016, so we're going back with 1017, which actually does have some pretty interesting implications, and I really want to talk about it. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I'd like to say thank you to everybody who watches, everybody who subscribed, and everybody who comments and likes. I really do appreciate it. Channel still kind of small, and I'm really excited about the growth for the channel, you know, the increase in views and whatnot. And yet again, if you do like what you hear, make sure to hit that follow button. Well, hit that subscribe button, excuse me. Hit the like button and comment, because yet again, I always love hearing from my subscribers. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. One Piece, chapter 1017, The Order. Okay, and from here we pick up in the performance hall inside the dome. I was going to say from last time, but since y'all haven't seen last time, we're not going to say that. But so Tama's, made her appearance on stage, and Queen and all of the others in the performance hall are asking, like, okay, what is this little kid doing in the middle of a battlefield? That's kind of reckless. And even then, we're seeing Bao Huang, who's being eaten by a Venus flytrap, and Queen's like, okay, what happened to Bao Huang? And he's asking who she is, and then Tama, kind of knowing a little bit about what Queen's capable of, is kind of foaming out, and she kind of faints. But at that moment, Usopp and them are still rushing to her aid. But then we cut back to the fourth floor, where we see I don't know, I want to call them the Who's Who pirates, but yeah, they're they're not his pirates anymore. But we see Who's brood, attacking Jinbei, and Who's Who is even laughing about it. He's like, okay, you're not even complaining, because pretty much from here they're jumping him. And he even says this started as a battle of 5,000 against 30,000. We are always going to be outnumbered, Jinbei says. And he then goes on to say, like, look, we're outnumbered. Let me see. 6-1 from jump. I never expected you to fight me one-on-one. Because even then, we see when this battle first started, when Jinbei walked up to Who's Who, when he was in his Sabretooth form, kind of chilling, we saw, all the people who were directly under him in their cat suits. It's like, okay, I kind of doubted they were going to fight him one-on-one. They were going to just let their boss get his ass kicked. And Who's Who yet again is just laughing about this, and he says, very perceptive of you. You've been a real pain. And Jinbei, bleeding, from all the attacks he suffered, he's like, that's right. Our job is to keep you officers occupied. So that's pretty much been their thing. It's like, okay, we can't let y'all go help Kaido, or this is gonna get bad. At least that's what they were thinking, but shit got bad anyway, as we can see from my previous reviews of Kaido and Big Mom pretty much running the ultimate RPG tactic on their asses on top of the Skull Dome. But we then kind of cut over to the next couple panels to Frankie, and him commenting on how there are more coming for him while he's in the Frankie Shogun. And even then we cut back to, which I even forgot, Dogstorm fighting against Jack, and yet again the beasts, the lower ranking beast pirates, are swarming them. And then it goes on to say, one of them, the beast goes on to say, apparently the pleasures and the waiters on the performance floor switch sides on us. Another one replies, what a bunch of jokers. What should we do with them? Beat them down and kick them out. Punish them all. And then yet again, we see that the gifters are the ones who are saying this. So not the pleasures or the waiters, but rather the gifters, the ones who actually got power. So they're in a better position. So of course they'd be like, fuck them. So it's then that yet again, Tama, she keeps trying to, talk to the entirety of the crowd. She has a little bit of stage fright, which is why she foamed at the mouth and like fainted. But we then see Nami and Usopp, kind of cheering her on, like, be strong, you can do this. And then she goes, all my friends who ate the millet dumplings, please listen up. And then some of the beasts like, what the hell's up this kid? She then tells me, you gotta change sides and fight for Bro Luffy and Momonosuke. And we then cut to a panel where the Heart Pirates, with John Bart and the others who were still in the submarine who caught Luffy, like they're seeping. Well, they're doing chest compressions and getting the water out of him because his ass is waterlogged. And then we see that Momonosuke is crying in Shinobu's arms after falling, so they survived their fall. And then she says, "You got to help us beat Kaido." And then we see Speed and a couple of the others who were affected. So it's slow. So as the sound waves are going throughout the entirety of the castle, it's taking effect by the sounds of her voice. And then Queen's looking like, oh my God, somebody pound that kid, whatever she's talking about. So then we cover to one of them. It's the gifter with the gorilla for a fist. Yes, you heard that right. From the middle of his forearm up to where his hand would be is the torso of a gorilla. And I don't even want to think about the X-rays, or I just don't. I just don't. Like, no. Like, Jesus Christ. Like that. Like some of these gifters, good grief. Like, this is ridiculous. But anyway, he then starts vibrating, and then he's swirling, and he just starts punching everybody with his gorilla, saying, "Your wish is my command." And then I guess it's one of the other Marys. Well, not the Marys, but well, I thought it was Mary. Then like random beasts are like, wait a minute, the gifters are acting strange, and it's like, yet again, it's taking effect. Even we see Scorpion dude, I can't remember his name, the one who was shooting the mummy bullets in the quarry. He's like, yeah, take down Kaido, join in, boys. Daifugu, that's his name. So even Jack is like, he's looking around, he's like noticing, like, what the hell? And even some samurai like, are they infighting? And then we see Hamlet, the guy who's pretty much, his back and ass are now a giraffe, which, yet again, good God, like, oh, good Lord. Like his existence just screams, kill me. And then we cut back to the room where Jinbei's in, and yet again, it's the gifter with the snakes for legs, which, yet again, just on some Cronenberg shit, kill me. Like, ugh. But yeah, he's like, look, hey, Jinbei, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna just start spazzing on motherfuckers. So then apparently someone gets on the loudspeaker. Apparently, on the fourth floor, Poker the headliner has suddenly turned traitor. And even who's like, what the fuck are you doing? And yet again, we just go through all of the gifters who ate the millet dumplings are just going nuts. And even one of the Marys who's in the room with the CP0, she's like, and even CP0 dude himself, the guy with the polka dot scarf, is like, what the? Like, he doesn't say anything, but he's like, huh? What is happening? And somebody comes over to speaker, the right brain tower. The gifters are going nuts. Basement floor. Everywhere where there is a gifter that has ate one of those dumplings, they are going nuts. And then, Otama, she's, kind of like, she's a child in the battlefield. She's kind of freaked the fuck out and having to make a speech in the middle of all that. So, yet again, she's kind of, she's done. And Nami and them are like, thank you, God. This little girl has done us some good. They're cheering. And then Queen goes to fire a beam at them. But before he can actually fire his beam off and, actually hit his target, he's hitting the side of the head, the back of the head by one of Sanji's attacks, Collier Strike. And then he's here that Queen goes on to say, damn it, Judge's son again. And Sanji's like, don't mention his name. So he's like, what? Are you part of his extended research team or something? Then it's time, and before we go on, it's time we go a little bit further back in time. Not in the chapter, but just here in this discussion. Remember, on Punk Hazard, we learned that there was a rogue science group of which Judge and Vegapunk were both part of. Keep that in mind. So it's here that Sanji, after learning this, like, okay, so are you one of them too? And so just keep that in mind. So we've all had the kind of like the thought that Queen, especially since he when he was looking over the bounty post, he was like, oh, that's Judge's kid. Okay, so he's like, okay, we've kind of seen this coming, and I'm glad that we're finally getting this, you know, here out in the open. But cutting back to the chapter, Queen, who is now taking his full hybrid form. You mean Mads? That was ages ago. Just look at my body. I'll come straight with you. I'm a cyborg. And then we see his left, his body retains its shape. He's still rotund. He is still a round guy. But we see his left arm fully mechanical. His right arm, which isn't mechanical, he's holding his sword. And he's got these, you know how Dr. Octopus from the Spider-Man franchise, you know how the end of his hands, his octopus arms look? Queen's left arm, his tail, and his ponytail, which is cybernetic, all have like that type of little appendage, except with just three digits on them. And then Sanji's like, was that supposed to be a secret? And then all the beasts who are still there, like, oh shit, it's Queen's man beast form. So this is his hybrid form, and apparently it's really nuts. So because everybody's saying like, yo, keep your distance. So Queen's like, okay, so you figured it out, but it's not gonna help you win. So then Sanji looks over his shoulder like, hey Chopper, can you handle everything over here? Because you have to remember, this is in the middle of the battle. It's not like these two are secluded. They're in the middle of the fight. So then we cut back to Zoro still in his crucifix form, you know, wrapped up in bandages, which Sanji was using as a weapon. So it's then we see the squirrel, one of the squirrel nurse mink, and Chopper is being held in her hands. We're gonna get to that. Chopper says he'll be fine. Just focus on yourself, Sonny. And then Sanji's just like, okay, but I can't help but worry, you know. So then, yet again, Chopper in this old man's voice. So is it true, Miyagi? Did you have this medicine on Zou the whole time? And then we see Chopper, baby geezer. So old girl, Chopper is now big enough. Little enough to where he can fit in her hands, in the palm of her hands, which is the side effect of him using the Rumble Ball. So apparently, wherever him and Caesar did to Rumble Ball has a side effect. It's kind of like when Luffy used to use Gear 3rd, when he used to like shrink down into like that mini Luffy. So this is Chopper's side effect. So Chopper then goes on to say like, hey, I don't know enough about this drug to give it to him, but does it really have these ultra regenerative properties? And then Miyagi, you know, the goat doctor, he's like, yeah, but only temporarily, and in return you will suffer twice as much damage as you took. So what I'm thinking, well, let me finish with this section. So when Zoro goes on like, look, there's no time for debate, just give it to me. He says that he doesn't care what happens. And then Chopper's like, oh, you heard that? And he's like, only thing that matters is being able to fight. So I don't know if it was last chapter, which you haven't heard, or another chapter, like when he was wrapped up, it was like, okay, I don't think this means we're not gonna get a King versus Zoro fight, but something but with him dealing with Chopper and them, that might be what makes it, especially Marco. But we haven't seen Marco, so I believe Marco is still dealing with King, and Zoro's gonna come in and take over for Marco, while Marco either helps Chopper or does something else, or he allows Zoro to fly on his back to actually fight King. Now, this harkens back to Thriller Bark, where after the battle was done, when Kuma showed up, he took Luffy's pain. After seeing Zoro's conviction in protecting Luffy, he took Luffy's pain and then gave it to Zoro. And then when everybody found out, and everybody looked, well, not everybody, because I still think most people still to this day don't know what happened. But when Sanji found him, you know, his blood, everyone's like, nothing happened. So we're probably gonna get a Nothing Happened 2.0 in this. So then we cut back to the fourth floor to where it's in chaos now that, you know, yet again, the gifters all over are going wild. And then it's here, the Who's like, you know what, screw it. I don't know what's happening, but it's clear that I actually have to try to fight now, because he was relying on, you know, everybody being able to help him and not really have to expend his full effort dealing with Jinbei, but that's not going to be the case. So it's then, and this is weird, you know that sword he was carrying around with him the entire time? That boss sword we thought was going to, if not be a Meito grade, was at least going to be a dope sword? It's not a sword. He unsheathes it, and its little knife. It's big, like I think it's barely bigger than the knife that Mihawk used against Zoro back in the East Blue. But it's then that he uses an attack blade pistol. Looks like he's shooting that he's kind of like using it to like shoot like little vacuum waves. And Jinbei counters with Fishman Karate, Arabesque Brick Fist. And here, as the technique is making contact, it's here that we see one of that we start to get into the meat of whose abilities. Shave, which he uses to dodge the attack, get above Jinbei, and then Tempest Kick, to which Jinbei hockeys up his right arm and blocks. So it's then after their clash, Jinbei's like, should I call this Iron Body then? Those are the 6 powers, the fighting abilities of government agents, which reminds me. Jinbei then goes on to say he heard about a member of the secret government agency, CP9, which, remember, Jinbei was a warlord for a long time. So at first I was going to be like, wait a minute, there's no reason he should know about that. But yet again, he was a warlord. So he might not know all the government secrets, which they would never let a warlord know. But in this case, he'd probably be the one to know. And then on top of that, there are probably people all over the world who know about CP9, but just like, okay, I'm not gonna fucking blab about it. But it's like certain pirates of a certain caliber, and even people like in the government, like, okay, look, there's talks of a shadow organization by the name of CP9. So yeah, it does make sense for Jinbei to know about CP9, being as he actually did have some type of status, and him being a high-ranking, a high caliber pirate for so long in his life, he'd actually know. He then goes on to say that he heard about a member of CP9 who escaped from jail, but it seems strange that a government agent would be in prison. And then as he turns into his it looks like his hybrid form, he looks a lot like Rob Lucci did, good lord. And he says, I can't believe you remember that. He's like, yeah, that was me. I knew you, but you don't know me, because remember, we still don't know how they know each other, because remember, when all this came about, when this battle started, who said, I've met you before. I know you, but you probably don't remember me. And then who goes on to say, he happens to like what he is now, but I went through hell because of a single little mistake about 12 years ago. And he even goes on to say, he goes on to expound, they used to say that I had just as much potential as the genius Rob Lucci. So pretty much it's being stated here that Lucci is not Lucci. Jinbei is fighting an opponent who's about as strong as Rob Lucci. And yet again, and I'm not talking about at that point, I'm talking about period, because if people were judging him accurately, and both him and Rob Lucci have gone on to get stronger, at least theoretically they should be somewhat comparable, which means that they should be somewhat, their abilities should be able to be compared, at least. It's then that he uses an attack called Fang Pistol, where he bites the air and a set of jaws comes out and like blasts a hole through a pillar behind him. And then also, I remember the CP9, they used to all have like a special technique that they used to actually not have, but they used to have secret techniques that they each specialized in. It's seeming like now his may be a pistol, because I think Jabra, he was was he the finger pistol guy? No, he wasn't. Was that Lucci? I know each of them had like one of the 6 powers that they excelled in. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think anybody had finger pistols. So he might have been the one who originally was supposed to be his finger pistol be his specialty, or the pistol be his specialty, but got kicked out. But yeah, Jinbei then goes on to say, I've never seen those 6 powers. I pity you, but I have nothing to do with your fate. He then goes on to say, then who responds? Well, that's where you're wrong. Remember what you said? Helms of the Straw Hat crew very proudly. The mention of that name brings back that bitter taste. He then goes on to explain, 12 years ago, a devil fruit was stolen from a government ship, and when Straw Hat Luffy appeared 2 years ago, I was shocked to learn the truth. That the Straw Hat had eaten the very gum fruit that was stolen from that very ship. Chapter end. Next chapter hits July 4th. Okay, now before I get up out of here, we're gonna talk about this. Because not a lot of people know, because I don't think a lot of people pay attention to the data books. I think in the last data book, the Viva card packs, they really like expounded upon it. And I think that's where this information came from. So it's either one of the first like 3 data books or the Viva card. But here's where it gets interesting. It stated that Shanks and them, because in the manga, when Luffy was gonna eat the fruit, when the fruit went missing and Luffy ate it, Lucky Roo was the one who was like, wait a minute. He went in the chest, he saw the open chest, and he was like, wait a minute. The fruit we got from that enemy ship is gone. So they got it from enemy ship. They stole it. So this, with what we know from what we know from the data books, and what we know now with this, it was Shanks and the crew that stole that fruit. They didn't steal it from our pirate crew. They stole it from the government, CP9 specifically. And who was in charge of guarding it fucked up, and that was what landed him in jail. Second, the reason I'm bringing up Lucky Roo is because it stated that Lucky Roo is the one who stole it. So either Shanks and his crew went after it, or Lucky Roo went after it on some bum shit. But we know that would have been around the time 12 years ago. Luffy would have been, let me see. Yeah, Luffy would have been 7. Damn, so they stole that fruit right before they went to the East Blue. So that fruit was new. So they didn't hold it for long. Like Luffy stole and ate it like right after they stole it. So they probably participated in that raid. That was found out. Because like, again, we don't, until we get the full story of this, we don't know if they knew. So we don't know if Shanks was after it, or was just like, oh, that's a CP9 ship. Fuck him. Let's get it. Run it. But yeah. So now we know who's who is not only an ex-CP9 agent, but he was the one escorting the gum fruit. And it's funny because I think it was either Joy Boy or O'Hara on Twitter who brought up a point with Blackbeard. When Blackbeard was looking for the dark fruit, the Yami Yami no Mi, he was dead set on it. He remembered the pattern. He waited in Whitebeard's shadow. He killed a crewmate for it. He did everything he could to get that fruit. No other fruit. It couldn't be something. So he couldn't be like, you know what? Because during that time, he may have seen dozens of other fruits. You know, being on Yonko's crew for so long, as we knew, he'd been on that ship for like 20 some years, because he joined when he was like 12. So no other fruit would do. So it begs the question, like that's why I kind of brought the question. Was it just, oh, there's a government ship, let's raid it and see what they have? Or was Shanks after the gum fruit specifically? That's what I'm wondering. But whenever we do meet the red hair pirates, I'm very interested to see what they are actually like what was the reason? Were they after it specifically? What was that whole deal? But yeah, now this chapter I like I said, I'm gonna post this today. Y'all are actually gonna see this. Like, I love this chapter. Like, I love backstory, and this adds a dimension. Like, because the only other time we've seen this was with the op fruit, how they were gonna pay the Barrels pirates, which there might have been some dimension with that. There might have been like, oh, they were secret government agents or whatnot, or some shit. Anyway, but with the government willing to pay absurd amounts of money to get their hands on devil fruits, because of course we know a lot of Marines have devil fruits, and we even see that Spondum, who was a government agent at the time and still is now, gave some of the CP9 agents devil fruits. And we know Vegapunk knows what devil fruits truly are, having discovered lineage factor, and just their connection, like how, because this is the second time like the government's been trying to get a fruit, and that whole thing's been fucked up. So I wonder, it brings up the question, do they do this for all devil fruits no matter what it is, or are there certain fruits that they're just willing to do whatever for? Because that's the thing. It's like, it seems like there was a convoy with this fruit that they were guarding. So there might be, like I said, whoever I follow on Twitter, what they were saying was there might be something special about the gum fruit, which is why the government was trying to transport it. Because that's the thing. See, and the reason I say it's like, man, you know, it's devil fruit, but still, the thing is, like, you could have gave that to any little marine or whatever, and you could have just put it in a box, just let one person on the ship know, like, hey, look, y'all gonna be transporting devil fruit, but we're trying to be covert about this. It's in the hole in the corner. It's under a whole bunch of shit. Don't mention it. Just, we'll take everything out of there. Just make sure nobody touches it. We got this. But the way he makes it seem is like they were transporting that specific fruit, like on some, hey, we got to make sure this gets to Marijois type shit. So definitely interesting. But anyway, yeah, there's gonna, let me see what else. So now that so I think we're getting to a point where we're actually gonna get our one-on-ones, because this whole time, like, motherfuckers had to be jumped and everything, you know, because yet again they are outnumbered. The raiding party is outnumbered, but now I think we can finally start getting into our one-on-ones. Sanji versus Queen. Zoro's probably gonna get up and get his moment with King. Dogstorm's going with Jack, which I was hoping Jinbei would go for Jack, but hey, they got history, so what can you do? Luffy's been recovered, and it looks like Momo's safe, so that's not gonna be like a ongoing mystery. So yeah, things are going quite well. You know, arc's heating up. I love it. But yet again, thank you to everybody who's listening. And yet again, if you want to be, if you want to hear more about my thoughts, because I really want to amp up video production and really get more videos and start doing character analyses and analyzing powers and shit like that. So if you want to stick around for that, definitely hit that like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified of all my future releases. But without further ado, this has been your boy, the D20, signing out. See you guys.